Hi everybody, thank you for inviting us here. This is going to be very general and not so specific and technical. I am Paolo Raineri, I'm the business developer at Knowage, and I want to let you understand or let you know what we think about data-driven economy and open source together. The first step is to talk you something about something that you already know for sure. In these last 20 years, we experienced a lot of great acceleration of the innovation due to the digital world, new technologies, new disruptive business models, new discoveries like X-boson or whatever, and everything falls down into the digital transformation era. Let me say it's a sort of marketing name, but it helped us a lot as a community because now every company knows that they have to embrace digital, not just like a small business unit with small budget, but as a pervasive thing. And while you are doing this, you have to be data-driven, in my opinion, and I think also that you have to consider also open source. For some reason, one is this, on the x-axis you can see the time, and on the y-axis you can see the speed of change, and we all know that new technologies and new innovations changes exponentially, while your organization will change logarithmically. And that's very tricky for every manager, because once you have to understand whether if it is the case or not to implement a new technology or a new innovation, you are sure that you are going to do this in a very slow way, so you have to be sure that this is the right choice. So you can't do these options, you can't choose this by using your gut. You have to do this based on data, I think. And that's another example. If you have the technology number 1 in red and technology number 2 in violet, let me say, on the y-axis you have performance or competitive advantage. If you are in the A step, obviously you can remain to the first technology because it's gonna give you the competitive advantage for a while. And in the D step, it's stupid to remain to the first one. You have to skip forward if you want to continue to be on the verge of innovation. But normally you are in the dilemma zone. And in the dilemma zone, again, you have to use data, but it's really, really tricky. Here I present you one of my favorite data visualization men, Hans Rosling. Maybe somebody already knows him. It's the founder of Gapminder, so an open source project. He died 2 years ago, unfortunately, but I still love him. He was a professor of global health, and this is a test that he did many times to his students. What I'm going to ask you is to try to select, try to choose which of these couples of countries have the higher children mortality rate, so Sri Lanka or Turkey, Poland or South Korea. And in many cases, you find yourself wrong. The orange dots are the right answers, and normally people are right 1.8 time on 5, and that's because of preconceptions. Because it comes out that doing a test at the zoo, chimpanzees are better than people. So it's probably because they don't have preconceptions. And this is a funny way to tell you that when you use data, when you go and try to really be data-driven with your company, you never have to use preconceptions, because statistics and numbers always can tell you what you want. And this is true also for the open source. If you try to answer to this question too, many times you will select one percentage that is less than 80%, but we already know here it's easy for me because we already are involved in the open source. But normally when I do this test, many people say 20 or 30%. Instead, almost every company now is running something on open source. Almost every advisory agency consider the open source as one of the key factors if a company really wants to be involved in the digital transformation era in the right way, and that's true also for the data-driven. And we saw a lot of great examples these days about private companies that embrace the open source and free software world. I put here Tesla, that we all know that some years ago they released their patent to the open source. We know that a few days ago Microsoft bought GitHub. I don't know where this will lead us, but okay, it's okay, they embrace this. And another thing that I want to show you is that open source was already well spread around the world, but normally it was involved in the discussions on big data, mobile, cloud, and whatever. Now is the time in which the open source it's involved also in the CFO discussion, and as Matasei say, when once open source became involved in the financial world, the momentum is unstoppable. Let me say. And those are some examples of sentences that you can hear from different CEOs in the world, and I try to make it funny because I think that open source and data-driven now is living a new hype that is very, very similar, in my opinion, to the hype that big data had a few years ago. Just like teenage sex, everybody's claiming that it's doing, but few people really have a clue on what is going on, and we are all those people. So the time for us is coming. We have to push for it, and I totally agree with this, to cite myself. I can say you that Knowage is a great example of this, because we mix obviously data-driven and open source. So we are a data visualization tool. Coming to data analytics, when it comes to data analytics, you have to show data in a way that both people enjoy and understand. And if you can do it by adding the value of open source, I think you're rocking. So I really like us, okay. But I still see people that is trying to telling me that open source is not for big projects at all, and we really don't think so, and I hope you also don't think so. And I leave the microphone to Alessandro that will show you why we don't think so, we don't agree.
Thanks, Paolo. So I'm here to present a couple of projects where Knowage has been used with success on top of whole open source stack of technologies. The context of these projects are the same, so it's Industry 4.0. So I'm sure you already know what is Industry 4.0. So to summarize, it's about network, Internet of Things, information that are obtained and processed to have a better industry and to more performance. And the first use cases is called DIVE, which means Digital Virtualization Experience, and is a project about both of the projects are about predictive maintenance, where Knowage has been used on top of the open source stack. So all the technologies that I'm going to show in this two example of use case, real world use case. So we are talking with the customers to see who can integrate this kind of platform that we in which we contribute with Knowage. So the first one, Dive, has been developed in collaboration with Comau, which is a world leading robotics company, and of course engineering with the company that develops actually Knowage. So this is the let's say overall architecture. So we have the plant architecture, and on the left we have the we call it hot storage. So it's matter of sensors and wearable devices and all the things that are involved in this Industry 4.0 context. While most interesting for Knowage and for the predictive maintenance in terms of application and software is the cloud. So data comes from the plant architecture to the right part of this architecture, and these data are then manipulated and processed using Knowage and machine learning techniques. So we have this presentation layer where Knowage is on top of it, and Knowage has been used to create predictive model and to visualize the data in an easy way. So this is the architecture more in deep. So the data comes from the plant architecture and goes to Apache NiFi, and which is a data routing project, and the data after that goes to the data lakes. From there, data are processed using Apache Spark with the Spark ML lib library, and then Knowage is able to use those data through the Impala driver to get the data and to visualize the data at the end. So, which are the questions that this kind of platform can answer? Mainly are two questions: what is happening and what will happen. So, what is happening? So, this is the answer is based on real-time, near real-time data, and so that the operator can get early warning. While the other is predictive maintenance. So what will happen? So with the predictive model, we have been able to detect error and issue in the industry. So this is the stack that you can see. So we have on the bottom we have the raw data, and on top we have the big data cluster, and the anomaly detection predictive model is on top of it, of course. And this has been developed by Knowage team, and on top of that, we use Knowage to visualize the data. That was particularly useful because the analytics behind is really complex, of course, and the point of data visualization is to visualize and insight the data in an easy way. So this is another architecture. Is the same architecture but mainly focused on the prediction model. So we have the pre-processing of the data that goes in the predictive model, and after that in an anomaly detection. And from that we have the simulation model that creates dataset, and after that Knowage is able to use those data to create this dashboard and to show the data to the end user. So these are the kind of dashboard that we develop with this project. I'm just going to show some of them. Again, the main point is that the elaboration and processing behind is really complex, and the benefit of this kind of Knowage and this kind of application on top is that you can easily see what's going on and you can react easily instead of using other kind of tool. Okay, so this is just some summary of the things that already give to you. So Dive is a modular suite, so you can decide that you can use the analytics part instead of another one, and is using Python and is closed platform, and you can use it on-premise and the cloud is cloud agnostic. Good. The other use cases is called DIDA, and has been developed in the context of another European project, which is OW2con'18, and it's the same context, so predictive maintenance using a whole open source stack, but it uses Fireware open source stack. So the rationale behind this DIDA project and this platform is to use all the information that's available out there, and how to manage this data analysis and this complexity. And so they decided to use Fireware technologies, which are open source technologies, and Knowage. So just a few words about what is Fireware. Fireware is a European funded project, and that base all its philosophy behind the concept of building context-aware application. So each application that is powered by Fiverr can benefit of this context broker component, which gets data and sends you the data. So for us, this collaboration, as many others that we have in the open source communities, was a win-win collaboration, because we have been able to develop interesting things, as the connector for Apache Solr to get really fast data. But also this is really a benefit for the open source community, because we release everything as open source. So we are able to actually build interesting things and also to give it back to the community. So Dida is a platform, again, about analytics. And this is the, let's say, the architecture. So on the bottom, we have the real world system, let me say, while on the top, we have the digital world system. So all the data comes from the bottom to the top, and they are processed by the context broker and then sent to the to other companies like Knowage, Quantum Leap, which is a time series component, and Wirecloud. Yeah, this is just the flow of the data. So from the IoT sensors, they goes to the OPC agent, which is a context producer, and then goes to the context broker, which is like a component in publish, subscribe fashion way. So it gets data and has some topics, so you can subscribe and you can get data. So in this regard, Knowage is a consumer of those data. So again, these are the kind of dashboard that you can build, and on top of this this platform. So again, the point is that behind this there are a lot of predictive model and advanced analytics that are really difficult to insight. But with the data visualization, everything is more clear to the end user, so that can react quickly than before. So again, just some slide of what is the achievement of this kind of platform. So the needs of this kind of platform is to have an advanced decision support for data analytics, and the problem that that's why they choose to use an open source stack is the vendor, the problem of the vendor lock-in, and of course the higher cost at the beginning. And of course, the open source comes in help in this. So they have been able to create a complete solution that can be used by anyone. So this is again a summarize of the Dida platform. So some technology that is using, and from the bottom to the top. Again, open standards, real industry testing. So Dida has been already used in the context of automotive context. So let me stress that these two projects are real world project that we are we are pushing to have it in the market. Thank you. And I don't know if Paolo wants to say something else.